today? Well, you know what they say about this particular Formula One season? It has been dominated by one man and one man only, and that man is, of course, the defending champion, Max Verstappen. And well, turns out that despite the fact that the title, in fact, both titles have been sealed by this point in time, the Red Bulls are in no mood to let up. And in fact, Max Verstappen has taken yet another pole position in this particular season, and of course this time it comes at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Now of course you remember that the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix of 2021 was of course the venue of Verstappen winning his first title, and this time around it could very well be Verstappen, or rather with Verstappen's help, that the team end up getting what is essentially their first ever 1-2 finish in the World Championship. Remember, they're on course for that right now because it has been a Red Bull 1-2 in qualifying, and aside from Verstappen coming first on the grid itself, Sergio Perez will be starting in second position. So that's the great news. If you're a Red Bull fan, Red Bull 1-2 as things stand, and it could very well be that they can seal that second place in the championship for Perez with minimal fuss. You can say that it's not really a case of that fast, but because, well, the Ferraris are actually, in close tow, because if you look at the qualifying, Charles Leclerc is going to be starting the race in P3, and his teammate Carlos Sainz is going to be starting the race in P4. The two Mercedes, who had a pretty good weekend in Brazil last time around, took a 1-2 finish. Well, Lewis Hamilton starts only P5, and both of the Mercedes are of course about 0.7 of a second off the Red Bull. So quite clearly, this track was never really going to be that place where Mercedes could build on what was a pretty good weekend in Brazil, because you have Hamilton in P5, you have George Russell in P6, and as for the rest of the grid, at least the rest of the top 10, Lando Norris is in P7, and he's of course well ahead of his McLaren teammate Daniel Ricciardo, who starts P10. Esteban Ocon of Alpine starts P8, and Sebastian Vettel, who of course is in his final F1 race, starts a respectable P9 in what would be his final Formula One race. Now, obviously, there was a bit of a mixed qualifying session for some of the teams, because again, teams who you would actually have been expecting to do well did struggle a tad, at least to begin with, because again, both the Alfa Romeos not in good positions. Zhou Guanyu in 15, Valtteri Bottas out in Q1. He ended up getting only P18 on the grid for tomorrow's race. The two Williams cars are the slowest. So you have Alexander Albon in 19th and Nicholas Latifi in 20th. Whereas if you're looking at the AlphaTauris, Pierre Gasly only P17, whereas his teammate Yuki Tsunoda got P12. The Haas cars, again, you'd expect some better performance from them in this particular track, but Mick Schumacher gets a P13, and Kevin Magnussen, who actually retained his seat this time around at the end of this particular season, and for of course next season, is only in P16. So not really the best of looks for him either, but Abu Dhabi is usually one of those races where teams are looking ahead more than they're looking behind. So that finish by Schumacher actually does little to nothing for him, because we know he's been dropped already at this point. So nothing much loss for him, but nothing much gain. And it's a good enough position. Fernando Alonso will be the man, by the way, who would feel the most aggrieved, because he lost out on a top 10 qualifying finish by just a few hundredths of a second. He, in fact, will be starting tomorrow's race P11. So as I said, not much to go in the way of stakes for this particular qualifying, because of course the season's already come to an end. But the good thing, of course, is that, it's still one more race in the year, and it will be interesting to see how a lot of these drivers do, or how it is that they want to be closing out this particular season on a high. So do tune in tomorrow. We'll be doing a post-race analysis and maybe some more videos dissecting how it is that the season went for all teams, or at least some of the major teams. Join us for those. Right now, I'm taking a leave, but thank you all so much for joining us. Don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tap the bell icon, leave us a comment, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Don't also forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you all once again for joining us. Bye-bye for now.